They told me to sit in the corner because I was too old to be seen at the party. I had dressed up, hoping to join in the celebration, but in that moment, I realized I needed more than a party to feel alive. Sometimes, stepping away is the only way to find your path again. Before I share my full story, let me know where you're watching from and make sure to like the video to support me. I sat in the corner of the room, watching the party unfold around me. The laughter was loud, and the music was even louder. People moved about, talking in small groups. They all seemed so full of life. I felt like a shadow, blending into the background, unseen and unheard. I was at my granddaughter's birthday party. She was turning 25, and everyone was excited. I had put on my best dress, hoping to fit in. But soon, I found that my presence was almost forgotten. Someone had made a joke earlier about me needing to sit down because I was too old to dance. Everyone had laughed. I had laughed too, but it left a bitter taste. I remember when I used to be at the center of these gatherings. I was the one throwing the parties, making sure everyone had a good time. Now, I was just a guest, a piece of furniture. I watched as my family circled around my granddaughter, showering her with love and attention. She was young, bright, and had her whole life ahead. In their eyes, I was past my prime, a relic of another time. I sat there, thinking about my life. I had worked hard, raised a family, and built a home. I had loved deeply and lost dearly. I had stories to tell, wisdom to share. But now, no one seemed interested in hearing them. It was as if my years of living had made me invisible. The room was filled with balloons and streamers. The smell of cake and candles lingered in the air. My granddaughter was surrounded by her friends, laughing and taking pictures. I watched her, remembering when I was her age. I had dreams too, dreams that seemed so possible back then. I felt a pang of sadness. It was hard to accept that my role had changed. Once, I was the heart of the family, the one everyone turned to. Now, I felt like I was just here to fill a chair. I knew they loved me, but love and attention were not the same. Love was quiet, but attention was loud, and there was no attention left for me. I listened to the chatter around me. People talked about their jobs, their plans, their future. No one asked about mine. The more I listened, the more I felt like an outsider. The world was moving on, and I was stuck in place. I looked around at the decorations, the gifts, the happy faces. It was all so vibrant, so alive. I wanted to feel part of it, to join in the laughter. But something held me back, a small voice inside that reminded me of my place. It whispered that my time had passed, that my stories were old, my dreams outdated. I tried to join in a conversation nearby. They were talking about a new movie. I mentioned a film I loved from my younger days. They nodded politely, then went back to their discussion. I felt the gap between us widen, a chasm of years and experiences. I sat back, my hands folded in my lap. I watched the room, the people, the life I felt disconnected from. I wondered if this was it. Was this how it would always be now? Would I always be the one watching from the sidelines, my voice lost in the noise? I thought about leaving, just quietly slipping out. But then I thought of the questions, the looks of concern. I didn't want to cause a scene. I didn't want to be the old woman who couldn't handle a party. So I stayed, even as my heart ached. I looked at my granddaughter again. She was so full of promise, so ready to take on the world. I wanted to tell her to cherish these moments, to not let them slip away. But I stayed silent, unsure if my words would be welcome. I remembered when I was her age, how I felt like I could conquer anything. I wanted to tell her that life was short, that time moved fast. But I knew she wouldn't understand. Not yet. Maybe one day she would, when she found herself in my shoes. The party continued around me, a swirl of colors and sounds. I felt tired, not just in body but in spirit. It was hard to keep up, to pretend that I was part of it all. I felt like I was fading, like a photograph left too long in the sun. I thought about the future, about what I wanted. I realized I didn't want to be just a spectator in my own life. I wanted to feel alive, to be seen and heard. I wanted to reclaim the parts of myself that had been lost over the years. As the night went on, I made a decision. It was time to make a change, to find a way to feel whole again. I didn't know what that would look like, but I knew I needed to try. I wanted to leave a legacy, something more than just memories. I looked around the room one last time, taking it all in. The laughter, the music, the joy. I wanted to be part of that again, to feel it in my bones. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was ready. The party wound down, people slowly leaving. I stood up, smoothing my dress. I walked over to my granddaughter, giving her a hug. She smiled, thanking me for coming. I smiled back, wishing her all the happiness in the world. As I left the party, I felt a sense of determination. I was not done yet. There was still time to make my mark, to find my place. I wanted to be more than just a memory, more than just a presence at the edge of a room. I stepped out into the night air, breathing deeply. The world felt wide open, full of possibilities. I knew I had a long way to go, but I was ready to start. I wanted to live, truly live, not just exist. As I walked to my car, I felt a spark of hope. It was small, but it was there. I knew I had a journey ahead of me, one that would take courage and strength. But I was ready to face it, to embrace whatever came my way. I drove home, the road stretching out before me. I thought about the life I had lived, the love I had given and received. I thought about the stories I still had to tell, the dreams I still wanted to chase. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to try. I wanted to be seen, to be heard, to be remembered. I wanted to leave a legacy of love and strength, a testament to the life I had lived. As I pulled into my driveway, I felt a sense of peace. I had made my decision, and there was no turning back. I was ready to reclaim my life, to find my voice again. I stepped out of the car, looking up at the stars. They were bright, shining in the darkness. I felt a connection to them, a reminder that I was part of something bigger. I walked into my house, feeling the weight of the day lift from my shoulders. I was ready for whatever came next, ready to embrace my new beginning. I was Margaret Ashford, and I was not done yet. I woke up the next morning feeling a mix of excitement and fear. The decision I had made at the party stayed with me. I knew it was time to change, to step out of the shadows. But now, in the light of day, the reality of that decision settled in. The unknown stretched before me like a vast open road, and I was standing at the beginning, unsure of the path. I made my coffee and sat at the kitchen table. The house was quiet, filled only with the ticking of the clock. I thought about the years I had spent here. This home had seen so much of my life. It held my laughter, my tears, my memories. But now, it felt like a box, closing in on me. I needed to breathe, to find space for myself again. I looked out the window at the garden. The flowers were blooming, vibrant and full of life. They seemed to whisper to me, urging me to grow, to reach for the sun like they did. I knew I had to go. I had to find out who I was now, outside these walls. The thought of leaving made my heart race. I had always been the anchor, the one who stayed and kept things steady. But now, I felt a pull to move, to explore. I wanted to discover the world and, in doing so, discover myself again. I spent the morning packing a small suitcase. I didn't need much, just the essentials. I found clothes, a few books, and my sketch pad. I hadn't drawn in years, but I wanted to try again. Art had been a passion once, and I hoped to revive that spark. As I packed, I felt a wave of doubt. What if I was making a mistake? What if I couldn't find what I was looking for? But then I reminded myself that staying meant more of the same. I needed to take this leap, to trust in my decision. I was ready for a new chapter, even if it meant facing the unknown. I called my daughter, Linda, to let her know. I told her I needed some time away, that I was going on a trip. She was surprised, but supportive. She understood my need for space, for something new. I promised to keep in touch, to let her know I was safe. With everything packed, I stood at the door, looking back at the house. It felt strange to leave, but also freeing. I was stepping into a new world, one that I hoped would bring me closer to myself. I took a deep breath, then stepped outside, closing the door behind me. I got into my car, the engine rumbling to life. The road stretched out in front of me, open and inviting. I didn't have a set destination, just a direction. West, towards the sun, towards new beginnings. As I drove, I felt a mix of emotions. There was excitement, yes, but also fear. I was leaving behind the familiar, stepping into a world that was unpredictable. But I knew I had to do it. I needed to find my own way, to carve out my own path. The miles passed, the scenery changing from city to countryside. I watched the world go by, feeling a sense of peace settle over me. The road was my companion, guiding me forward, away from the past. I thought about my family, my children, and grandchildren. I loved them dearly, but I needed this time for myself. I wanted to return to them with stories to tell, with a heart full of new experiences. I hoped they would understand, that they would see the strength in my journey. As the day wore on, I began to feel more at ease. The weight of the past was lifting, replaced by the promise of what lay ahead. I felt a sense of freedom, a lightness that had been missing for so long. I stopped for lunch at a small roadside diner. The place was cozy, filled with the smell of coffee and freshly baked pie. I sat at the counter, enjoying a simple meal. The waitress was friendly, her smile warm and genuine. It reminded me that kindness was everywhere, waiting to be found. After eating, I continued on my way. The sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. It was beautiful, a reminder of the beauty that existed in the world. I felt grateful for the chance to witness it, to be part of it. As night fell, I found a small inn to stay at. It was quaint, with a welcoming atmosphere. I checked in and settled into my room, feeling tired but content. It had been a long day, but a good one. I lay in bed, thinking about the journey ahead. I didn't know where it would lead, but I was ready to find out. I wanted to embrace the challenges, the surprises, the lessons. I wanted to grow, to become the person I was meant to be. I drifted off to sleep, my dreams filled with possibilities. I saw new places, met new people, and felt a sense of belonging that had been missing for so long. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was determined to keep going. The morning came, and I woke with a renewed sense of purpose. I was on a journey, one that was just beginning. I was Margaret Ashford, and I was ready to face whatever came my way. I was reclaiming my life, one step at a time. I woke up early, excited to continue my journey. The inn was quiet, the morning light filtering softly through the curtains. I got dressed, packed my things, and headed to the dining area for breakfast. The smell of fresh coffee and toast filled the air, welcoming and comforting. The waitress from the night before greeted me with a smile. I ordered a simple breakfast, savoring each bite. I felt grateful for the kind people I had met so far. Their warmth gave me the courage to keep moving forward. After breakfast, I checked out and got back on the road. The day was bright and clear, the sky a perfect blue. The open road stretched out before me, full of promise. I felt a sense of freedom that was both exhilarating and a little scary. As I drove, I thought about the life I had left behind. My home, my family, the routine I had known for so long. It was strange to be away from it all, but also liberating. I was rediscovering parts of myself that had been buried under the weight of years. I traveled through small towns, each with its own charm and character. I stopped at local shops, chatted with the people, and learned about their lives. Everyone had a story to tell, and I found comfort in their words. We were all on our own journeys, searching for something. One afternoon, I found myself in a quaint town nestled in the hills. The streets were lined with small shops and cafes. It was a place that seemed to invite you to stay a while. I decided to explore, curious about what I might find. As I wandered through the town, I stumbled upon an art gallery. The building was modest, but the paintings in the window caught my eye. They were vibrant and full of life, each one telling its own story. I felt a pull to go inside. The gallery was filled with art, each piece unique and beautiful. I walked slowly, taking in the colors and the emotions they conveyed. It reminded me of the days when I used to paint, when art was a part of my life. I felt a longing to pick up a brush again, to create. The gallery owner, a kind woman with a warm smile, approached me. We talked about the art, about the town, about life. She told me about the local arts community, how it was thriving and welcoming to newcomers. Her words sparked something in me, a desire to be part of it. I spent the afternoon in the gallery, talking and learning. The sense of community was strong, and I felt drawn to it. I realized that I missed the creative part of myself, the part that had been pushed aside by life's demands. Before leaving, I thanked the owner for her time and promised to return. I felt a sense of excitement, a possibility of rekindling my passion for art. It was a small step, but an important one. Back on the road, I thought about the gallery and the people I had met. Their stories and their art inspired me. I wanted to find my own way to contribute, to express myself. I realized that this journey was about more than just leaving, it was about finding a new way to live. As the sun began to set, I found another inn to stay the night. It was cozy and welcoming, much like the first. I settled into my room, feeling a sense of peace. The day had been full of discovery, and I looked forward to what tomorrow might bring. I lay in bed, thinking about my family. I missed them, but I knew this journey was important. I wanted to return to them with a renewed sense of self, with stories and experiences to share. I wanted to show them that it was never too late to follow your dreams. Sleep came easily, filled with dreams of colors and creativity. I saw myself painting, surrounded by people who shared my passion. It felt right, like a piece of my life that had been missing was finally falling into place. The next morning, I woke with a sense of purpose. I decided to stay in the town for a few days, to explore the art community and reconnect with my creative side. I wanted to see where this path might lead. I spent my days visiting galleries, talking to artists, and sketching in my notebook. The town was alive with creativity, and it fueled my own. I found myself inspired by the work of others, eager to create my own. The local artists welcomed me with open arms. They shared their techniques, their stories, their struggles. It was a community built on support and encouragement, and I felt grateful to be part of it. I attended workshops, learning new skills and refining old ones. I felt the joy of painting again, the satisfaction of creating something from nothing. It was a feeling I had missed, a part of me that had been asleep for too long. As the days passed, I felt a change within myself. I was more confident, more alive. I was rediscovering my passion, and it was bringing me back to life. I realized that this journey was as much about finding myself as it was about exploring the world. I thought about the future, about how I could continue to nurture this part of myself. I wanted to keep painting, to keep learning. I wanted to bring this newfound joy back to my family, to show them the power of following your heart. As my time in the town came to an end, I felt a sense of gratitude. This place had given me so much, had reignited a spark within me. I knew I would carry it with me, wherever I went next. I packed my things, said goodbye to the friends I had made, and got back on the road. The journey was far from over, but I felt ready to face whatever came next. I was Margaret Ashford, and I was embracing my new life, one brushstroke at a time. After leaving the small town, I continued my journey with a newfound sense of purpose. The road stretched before me, winding through landscapes that seemed to change with each mile. I felt alive, eager to see what lay ahead. One afternoon, I arrived in another small town. It was nestled in a valley, surrounded by rolling hills and open fields. The town had an old-world charm, with its cobblestone streets and historic buildings. I decided to stop and explore, curious about what I might find. As I wandered through the town, I came across a community center. A sign outside announced an art fair happening that weekend. It sounded like the perfect opportunity to engage with local artists and see more of their work. My heart quickened with excitement. I entered the center, greeted by the sight of colorful booths and bustling activity. Artists were setting up their displays, preparing to showcase their creations. The air buzzed with energy and anticipation. I felt a thrill at being part of it, even as an observer. I spent hours wandering from booth to booth, admiring the variety of art. Paintings, sculptures, and crafts filled the space, each piece telling its own story. The creativity on display was inspiring, a testament to the power of imagination and hard work. At one booth, I met an artist named Claire. Her paintings were vibrant and full of emotion. We struck up a conversation, and she shared her journey with me. She had moved to the town years ago, seeking a place where she could focus on her art. Her story resonated with me, a reminder of the path I was on. Claire invited me to join her and some other artists for a small gathering that evening. They planned to meet at a local park, a place where they often went to paint and share ideas. I accepted the invitation, eager to connect with others who shared my passion. As the sun began to set, I made my way to the park. It was a beautiful space, with wide open fields and ancient trees. The artists gathered in a circle, their easels set up around them. They welcomed me warmly, offering a seat and a cup of tea. We spent the evening talking, sharing stories of our creative journeys. Each person had a unique perspective, a different reason for pursuing their art. Yet, we were all bound by a common thread, a love for creating and expressing ourselves through our work. I felt a sense of belonging that I hadn't experienced in a long time. These people understood the drive to create, the joy and frustration that came with it. I found myself opening up, sharing my own experiences and dreams. As the sky darkened and the stars appeared, we continued to paint. The night was quiet, except for the soft rustle of leaves and the occasional brushstroke. It was peaceful, a moment of connection with the world and with each other. I picked up a brush, feeling the familiar weight in my hand. I dipped it into the paint, letting the colors flow onto the canvas. I painted with a freedom I hadn't felt in years, letting my heart guide my hand. The others encouraged me, offering tips and praise. Their support filled me with confidence, pushing me to explore new ideas. I felt the joy of creation, the satisfaction of bringing something to life. As the evening came to an end, I felt grateful for the experience. These artists had welcomed me into their world, sharing their passion and knowledge. I felt enriched by their presence, inspired to continue my own journey. I returned to my lodgings that night, my heart full. I knew I had found something special, a reminder of why I had set out on this journey in the first place. I was rediscovering my love for art, and it was bringing me back to myself. The next day, I decided to stay in the town a bit longer. I wanted to spend more time with the artists, to learn from them and grow. They were happy to have me, inviting me to join them in their workshops and gatherings. I immersed myself in the community, attending classes and collaborating on projects. Each day was an opportunity to learn something new, to push the boundaries of my creativity. I was challenged and encouraged, and it felt wonderful. I spent hours painting, losing myself in the rhythm of the brush. I experimented with different styles and techniques, eager to find my own voice. The process was exhilarating, a journey of discovery and expression. The artists became my friends, my mentors. We shared our successes and struggles, supporting each other through the highs and lows. Their encouragement meant the world to me, a reminder that I was not alone on this path. As the days turned into weeks, I felt a transformation within myself. I was more confident, more open to possibilities. I was embracing my passion, allowing it to shape and guide me. It was a powerful feeling, one that I had missed for too long. I thought about my family, about sharing this newfound joy with them. I wanted them to see the change in me, to understand the journey I had taken. I hoped they would be proud, that they would see the strength it had taken to follow my dreams. Eventually, it was time to move on. I had found so much in this town, but I knew there were more adventures waiting for me. The road still called, and I was eager to see where it would lead. I said goodbye to my new friends, promising to stay in touch. Their kindness and support had been a gift, one that I would carry with me. I felt enriched by the experience, ready to face whatever came next. As I drove away, I felt a sense of peace. I was on a journey of discovery, one that was far from over. I was Margaret Ashford, and I was finding my way, one brushstroke at a time. I continued my journey, feeling more alive and inspired than I had in years. The road became a friend, each mile bringing new sights and thoughts. I had found a part of myself through art, and I was eager to see what else lay ahead. But along with excitement, there came moments of doubt. As I traveled, I faced challenges that tested my resolve. The thrill of the journey was sometimes overshadowed by practical concerns. Money was tight, and I had to be careful with my spending. Each night, I looked for affordable places to stay, stretching my budget as far as it could go. There were days when I questioned my decision to leave home. The comforts of familiarity called to me, the routines and security I had left behind. It was hard to keep going at times, to push through the fear of the unknown. I missed my family, the warmth of their presence. I wondered if they missed me too, if they understood why I had to go. In these moments of doubt, I turned to my art. Painting became a refuge, a way to quiet my mind and focus my thoughts. With each brushstroke, I found clarity and purpose. The act of creating grounded me, reminding me of the passion that had set me on this path. It was a reminder that I was capable, that I could overcome whatever obstacles came my way. I also drew strength from the people I met along the journey. Each interaction was a lesson, a chance to learn and grow. I found kindness in strangers, their stories a source of inspiration. They reminded me that I was not alone, that others had faced similar challenges and had come through stronger. One day, while passing through a small town, I met a woman named Rose. She owned a small art supply shop, and I stopped in to buy some paint. We got to talking, and I shared a bit of my story with her. Rose listened with empathy, her own journey not too different from mine. She had started her shop after leaving a corporate job, seeking a life that fulfilled her. It hadn't been easy, but her passion for art had guided her through the tough times. Her story resonated with me, a reminder that the path to happiness was rarely a straight line. Rose invited me to join a local art group that met weekly. They gathered to paint, share ideas, and support each other. I accepted her invitation, eager to connect with others who shared my passion. The group welcomed me with open arms, their enthusiasm contagious. We met in a small studio, the air filled with the scent of paint and possibility. Each session was a chance to explore, to push the boundaries of what I thought I could do. The group was diverse, each member bringing their own unique style and perspective. I learned so much from them, their feedback and encouragement invaluable. As I settled into this new routine, I found a sense of balance. The challenges of the journey became more manageable, my confidence growing with each passing day. I realized that it was okay to struggle, that the hard times were part of the process. They taught me resilience, the ability to adapt and persevere. I also learned to let go of the fear of judgment. In the past, I had been hesitant to share my work, worried it wasn't good enough. But the support of the art group helped me see that art was about expression, not perfection. It was about the joy of creating, the thrill of bringing an idea to life. With this newfound perspective, I began to experiment more boldly. I tried new techniques, explored different subjects. Each painting was a step forward, a testament to my growth. I felt a sense of freedom, unburdened by the constraints I had placed on myself. Outside of art, I took time to explore the town. I walked along the streets, visited local cafes, and attended community events. I found joy in the simple moments, in the beauty of everyday life. The world was full of wonder, and I was determined to soak it all in. I also took time to reflect on my journey, to consider the person I was becoming. I realized that this trip was not just about finding my passion, but about finding myself. It was about embracing change, about stepping into the unknown with courage and hope. As my time in the town came to an end, I felt a sense of accomplishment. I had faced challenges, but I had also found strength within myself. I was ready to continue my journey, to see where the road would take me next. I packed my things, said goodbye to Rose and the art group, and set off once more. The road was open before me, full of promise and possibility. I knew there would be more challenges ahead, but I was ready to face them. I was Margaret Ashford, and I was discovering who I was meant to be, one step at a time. I drove along the winding roads, feeling the pull of the open highway. The journey had been long, but it was far from over. Each town, each stop brought new experiences and lessons. I was learning more about myself with every mile. One afternoon, I arrived in a town nestled by a large lake. The water glistened under the sun, a mirror reflecting the sky. The town was small but lively, with people bustling about. It seemed like a place full of stories waiting to be uncovered. As I explored the town, I felt drawn to its history. There was something familiar about it, a connection I couldn't quite place. The streets were lined with old buildings, each one whispering tales of the past. I decided to dig deeper, curious about what I might find. I visited the local library, hoping to learn more. The librarian, a kind woman named Emily, welcomed me. She was eager to help, her love for the town evident in the way she spoke. We sat together, poring over old records and photographs. Emily shared stories of the town's history, tales of people and events that shaped its identity. As we talked, I came across a name that caught my attention, my own family name. It was there, in the records, a part of the town's history. My heart skipped a beat, a mix of surprise and curiosity washing over me. I had never known of any connection to this place, but here it was, written in black and white. I felt a deep need to know more, to understand how my family was linked to this town. Emily helped me search through more records, piecing together the story. It was like unraveling a mystery, each new piece bringing me closer to the truth. I learned that my great-grandparents had lived here long ago. They had been part of the community, contributing to its growth and success. Their names were mentioned in old letters and articles, their presence woven into the fabric of the town. I felt a sense of pride, knowing that my roots ran deep here. But as I delved deeper, I discovered a more complex story. There had been a rift, a falling out that had caused my family to leave the town. The details were unclear, but it was clear that something significant had happened. I felt a pang of sadness, wondering about the choices and circumstances that had led to this division. I wanted to know more, to understand the full story. Emily suggested I speak with some of the older residents, people who might remember the events. I agreed, eager to learn more about this hidden chapter of my family's history. Over the next few days, I met with several longtime residents. They were kind and welcoming, happy to share their memories. Each conversation added another layer to the story, painting a picture of the past. I learned about the close-knit community my great-grandparents had been part of. They were respected and loved, their contributions valued by all. But something had changed, a disagreement that had led to their departure. The details were hazy, but the impact was clear. It had left a mark on both the town and my family. As I listened, I felt a mix of emotions. There was pride in knowing my family's legacy, but also a sense of loss for what had been lost. I wished I could have known my great-grandparents, to hear their stories firsthand. I wondered what they would say about the choices they made, the paths they took. I spent hours walking along the lake, reflecting on what I had learned. The water was calm, a mirror to my thoughts. I felt a deep connection to this place, a part of me that had been hidden now coming to light. It was a reminder that we are shaped by those who came before us, their stories and choices influencing our own. I knew I wanted to honor my family's legacy, to acknowledge the past while forging my own path. I wanted to make amends, to heal the rift that had divided us. It was a chance to bring closure, to carry forward the lessons of the past. I decided to write letters to my family, sharing what I had discovered. I wanted them to know about our history, to understand the roots that connected us to this town. I hoped it would bring us closer, helping us appreciate the strength and resilience that had been passed down through generations. As I prepared to leave the town, I felt a sense of peace. I had uncovered a part of my past, a story that had been waiting to be told. It was a gift, a reminder of the ties that bind us, even when they are hidden from view. I thanked Emily and the residents who had shared their stories with me. Their kindness and openness had been a blessing, a reminder of the power of community. I promised to return, to keep the connection alive. As I drove away, the lake shimmering in the distance, I felt a sense of gratitude. The journey had brought me closer to myself, to my family, to the world around me. I was Margaret Ashford, and I was embracing my legacy, one story at a time. Leaving the town by the lake felt different. I was not just moving forward on my journey, but I was also carrying my family's history with me. The discovery of my great-grandparents' past had opened a door to understanding my roots. I wanted to share this with my family, to reconnect and start healing old wounds. As I drove, I thought about how to reach out. My daughter Linda had been supportive of my journey, but there had been distance between us for years. Life had a way of pulling us apart, with her busy raising her family and me wrapped in my own world. I wanted to change that, to bridge the gap that time and silence had built. I decided to call Linda. I needed to hear her voice and share what I had discovered. It was time to open up, to let her in on the journey I was on. I pulled over at a rest stop, my hands shaking slightly as I dialed her number. Linda answered on the third ring. Her voice was warm, a thread of familiarity that eased my nerves. We exchanged pleasantries, catching up on the little things. I could hear the kids in the background, their laughter a reminder of the life I missed. I took a deep breath and told her about the town, about the connection I had found. I shared the story of our great-grandparents, the legacy they had left behind. I could hear the surprise in her voice, the interest and curiosity. She asked questions, wanting to know more, eager to understand. As we talked, I felt a barrier break. The distance between us seemed to shrink, replaced by a shared sense of discovery. I told her about my journey, the people I had met, the art I had rediscovered. She listened, her support and love clear in every word. Linda shared her own stories, the challenges and joys of her life. We laughed and reminisced, the conversation flowing easily. It felt good to be open, to connect in a way we hadn't in years. I realized how much I had missed this, the simple act of sharing our lives. I suggested we meet, to talk more about our family and the future. Linda agreed, her excitement evident. We decided I would visit her and the family, a chance to reconnect and share my experiences firsthand. I felt a surge of happiness, looking forward to seeing them again. After the call, I continued my journey with a lighter heart. I was ready to face whatever came next, knowing I had the support of my family. The road seemed brighter, full of possibilities and hope. A few days later, I arrived at Linda's home. It was a warm, sunny afternoon, the kind that made everything seem right in the world. I parked the car and took a deep breath, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. Linda greeted me at the door, her smile wide and welcoming. We hugged tightly, the embrace filled with love and understanding. I felt the warmth of her presence, the bond that time and distance had not broken. The kids rushed in, their energy and enthusiasm infectious. They hugged me, peppering me with questions about my travels. I laughed, feeling their joy and curiosity. It felt good to be surrounded by family, to be part of their world again. We spent the afternoon talking and catching up. I shared stories of my journey, the places I had seen, the people I had met. I showed them my paintings, the art that had become such an important part of my life. They admired my work, their encouragement a balm to my soul. Linda and I talked late into the night, the conversation deep and meaningful. We discussed our family history, the legacy we wanted to leave for the next generation. We talked about forgiveness, about healing old wounds and moving forward. It was a conversation long overdue, one that brought us closer together. Over the next few days, I spent time with each member of the family. We went for walks, cooked meals together, and shared laughter and tears. I felt a sense of belonging, a connection that had been missing for too long. I also took time to listen, to understand their lives and struggles. I wanted to be there for them, to offer support and wisdom. I realized that reconnecting was not just about sharing my journey, but also about being present in theirs. As my visit came to an end, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I was not just on a personal journey of discovery, but also on a path to strengthen the ties with my family. I wanted to be a part of their lives, to contribute to their happiness and growth. I left Linda's home with a promise to stay in touch, to keep the lines of communication open. We hugged tightly, both of us knowing that this was a new beginning. I felt grateful for the chance to reconnect, to rebuild the bridge between us. As I drove away, I felt a sense of peace. The journey had brought me closer to myself and to my family. I was Margaret Ashford, and I was embracing the love and legacy of those who came before me, one conversation at a time. Leaving Linda's home left me with a renewed sense of purpose. I had rekindled my bond with my family and felt their support as a warm glow in my heart. It was time to embrace the change and growth I was experiencing. I wanted to use my journey to make a difference, not just for myself but for others too. As I continued my travels, I thought about how I could contribute to the communities I visited. I had learned so much about art and life, and I felt a calling to share that knowledge. I wanted to inspire others, to show them that age was not a barrier to pursuing dreams. I arrived in a bustling town known for its vibrant community life. It was a place full of energy, with people of all ages coming together to create and connect. I felt a pull to stay and find a way to give back. I visited the local community center, a hub of activity and learning. They offered a range of classes and workshops, from art to cooking to technology. The center was alive with people eager to learn and grow, their enthusiasm infectious. I spoke with the director, a kind man named Sam. I told him about my journey, my love for art, and my desire to contribute. He listened with interest, nodding as I shared my ideas. Sam was supportive, eager to bring new opportunities to the community. We discussed the possibility of starting an art class for older adults. Many people felt that art was something for the young, a notion I wanted to challenge. I wanted to create a space where people could explore their creativity, regardless of age. Sam agreed, excited by the idea and the potential it held. Over the next few weeks, I worked with Sam and the center to set up the class. We gathered supplies, spread the word, and prepared the space. I felt a sense of anticipation, eager to see who would come and what we could create together. The first day of class arrived, and I was both nervous and excited. I set up the room, arranging paints, brushes, and canvases. As the participants began to arrive, I felt a rush of warmth and gratitude. They came with open hearts and curious minds, ready to explore and learn. We began with introductions, each person sharing a bit about themselves and their reasons for joining. There were men and women from all walks of life, each with their own story. Some had never painted before, while others were rekindling a long-lost passion. Their courage and willingness to try something new inspired me. As we started painting, the room filled with a quiet energy. Brushes moved across canvases, colors blending and forming shapes. There was a sense of discovery, of people finding their voices through art. I moved around the room, offering guidance and encouragement. Watching their progress filled me with joy. One woman, Helen, stood out to me. She was in her 70s, her hands a bit shaky but her determination strong. She told me she had always loved art but never had the chance to pursue it. Now, with her children grown and her time her own, she wanted to try. Helen's story resonated with me, a reminder of why I had started this journey. I spent time with her, helping her find confidence in her strokes. She painted a landscape, capturing the essence of a place she loved. Watching her work, I saw the spark of creativity ignite. As the weeks went on, the class became more than just a place to paint. It was a community, a space where people could express themselves and support each other. Friendships formed, laughter filled the air, and each session ended with a sense of accomplishment. I saw the impact the class had on each participant. They grew more confident, more willing to take risks and explore. They shared their work with pride, their joy evident in their smiles. It was a reminder that art was not just about creating, but about connecting and growing. Outside of class, I found ways to contribute to the community. I volunteered at events, sharing my love for art with others. I talked to people about their dreams, encouraging them to pursue their passions. I wanted to inspire, to show that it was never too late to chase your dreams. My journey had taught me so much about resilience and strength. I wanted to pass that on, to help others see the possibilities within themselves. I found fulfillment in giving back, in using my experiences to make a difference. As my time in the town came to an end, I felt a sense of fulfillment. I had embraced change and growth, using my journey to inspire others. I was leaving a part of myself behind, a legacy of creativity and courage. I said goodbye to the friends I had made, promising to stay in touch. Their kindness and support had enriched my life, a reminder of the power of community. I left with a full heart, knowing I had made a difference. On the road again, I felt ready for whatever lay ahead. I was Margaret Ashford, and I was embracing change, one brushstroke at a time. The road stretched ahead, open and inviting. My heart was full, reflecting on the journey I had taken and the connections I had made. I had discovered so much about myself, and I wanted to share these insights with my family. I wanted to leave a legacy of love, one that would inspire and guide them. As I drove, I thought about the letters I wanted to write. I wanted to capture my journey, my thoughts, and the lessons I had learned. These letters would be a gift to my family, a way to share my heart and hopes for the future. I wanted them to know how much they meant to me and to encourage them to live boldly and authentically. I found a quiet spot at a rest area by a river. The water flowed gently, a soothing backdrop as I settled with my notebook. The words came slowly at first, but soon they poured out, a reflection of my journey and the emotions I had experienced. In my first letter, I wrote to Linda. I told her how proud I was of her, of the life she had built and the love she shared with her family. I thanked her for her support and understanding, for being there even when we were apart. I shared the story of my travels, the people I had met, and how they had inspired me to embrace change. I told Linda about the importance of following her dreams, of taking time for herself amidst the chaos of life. I wanted her to know that it was okay to seek her own path, to explore her passions. I encouraged her to be brave, to not let fear hold her back. Next, I wrote to my grandchildren. I wanted them to know how much joy they brought into my life, how their laughter and curiosity inspired me. I shared stories of my adventures, painting a picture of the world beyond their doorstep. I hoped to spark their imaginations, to encourage them to dream big and explore. I reminded them that life was a journey, full of twists and turns. I wanted them to know that it was okay to make mistakes, to learn and grow from them. I urged them to be kind, to show compassion and empathy, and to always seek the good in others. As I wrote, I felt a sense of peace. The letters were more than just words, they were a piece of my heart, a connection to my family that would last beyond my lifetime. I hoped they would be a source of comfort and guidance, a reminder of the love that surrounded them. I continued writing, capturing memories and reflections. I wrote about the importance of resilience, of facing challenges with courage and determination. I shared the lessons I had learned from the people I met, their stories a testament to the strength of the human spirit. I also wrote about forgiveness, the need to let go of past hurts and embrace healing. I wanted my family to understand that holding on to anger and regret only weighed us down. I encouraged them to forgive themselves and others, to move forward with open hearts. As the afternoon turned to evening, I finished the last letter. I felt a sense of completion, knowing I had shared what mattered most. The letters were a gift, not just to my family, but to myself. They were a reminder of the journey I had taken, of the transformation I had undergone. I packed away my notebook, feeling a sense of calm. The river continued to flow, a symbol of the passage of time and the continuity of life. I knew my journey was far from over, but I felt ready for whatever came next. The next day, I visited a post office and mailed the letters. I watched them disappear into the mailbox, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. I knew they would reach my family soon, a tangible connection between us. As I returned to the road, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I was grateful for the experiences and insights I had gained. I was Margaret Ashford, and I was leaving a legacy of love, one letter at a time. The final stretch of my journey felt different. I carried the weight of my experiences and the warmth of the connections I had made. I felt a sense of closure approaching, a culmination of all that I had learned and shared. As I drove, I thought about how far I had come, not just in miles but in understanding and growth. I received a call from Linda one morning. She had received my letters, and her voice was full of emotion. She thanked me for sharing my journey with her and the family. She said the letters had brought them closer, sparking conversations and reflections. Her words filled me with joy, knowing that my experiences had touched their lives. Linda told me that they wanted to celebrate my journey, to bring everyone together in a gathering. She invited me to come back home, to share my stories and art with friends and family. I felt a surge of happiness, eager to see everyone and to celebrate the new chapter in my life. I made my way back, the road familiar but filled with new meaning. I thought about the people I had met, the lessons I had learned, and the person I had become. I felt a mix of excitement and calm, ready to embrace the next phase of my life. When I arrived home, Linda greeted me with open arms. The house was filled with laughter and warmth, a testament to the love that had grown in my absence. Friends and family gathered, each one eager to hear about my travels and experiences. We spent the afternoon sharing stories and memories. I talked about the towns I had visited, the art I had created, and the connections I had made. I showed them my paintings, each one a reflection of my journey. Their admiration and support filled me with gratitude. Linda had organized a small exhibition of my work, a chance for everyone to see the art that had become such a vital part of my life. The paintings were displayed around the room, each one telling a story of exploration and growth. As people admired my work, I felt a sense of accomplishment. The paintings were more than just art, they were a testament to my journey and the changes I had embraced. I felt proud of what I had achieved, knowing that I had followed my passion and found my voice. Throughout the day, I talked with friends and family, sharing the insights I had gained. We discussed the importance of following one's dreams, of taking risks and embracing change. I encouraged them to explore their own passions, to not let age or fear hold them back. I also listened to their stories, learning from their experiences and perspectives. Each conversation enriched my understanding, a reminder that we are all on our own journeys of discovery. I felt a deep connection to everyone there, united by the love and support we shared. As the sun set, we gathered outside, the sky painted with hues of orange and pink. It was a moment of reflection and gratitude, a chance to appreciate the journey I had taken and the people who had supported me. I took a moment to thank everyone for their love and encouragement. I spoke about the importance of community, of coming together to support one another. I expressed my gratitude for the opportunity to share my journey with them, to inspire and be inspired. The evening was filled with laughter and joy, a celebration of life and growth. I felt a sense of peace, knowing that I had found my place in the world. I was surrounded by love, by people who believed in me and my dreams. As the gathering came to an end, I reflected on the legacy I wanted to leave. It was a legacy of love and resilience, of courage and creativity. I hoped that my journey would inspire others to live authentically, to embrace the possibilities that life offered. I knew that my story was far from over, that there were still adventures to be had and lessons to be learned. But I felt ready to face whatever came next, confident in my place in the world and the mark I had made. As I lay in bed that night, I felt a sense of fulfillment. I was Margaret Ashford, and I had embraced life's possibilities, creating a legacy of love and strength, one day at a time. If you loved the story, like the video and subscribe.